Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Dry Series. Again, where once a week on the weekend, we will cover what happened during the week for Defiance versus Roundhill versus YieldMax. And when we say YieldMax, obviously we're only talking about YMAX and YMAG. But first, we will do a comparison of QQQY versus QDTE versus the NASDAQ, right? So if you're new to this series, QQQY, that's it's an options ETF for Defiance, where basically they sell puts on the NASDAQ, and then QDTE, that's also an options ETF, but they sell calls on the NASDAQ, so we also pull up the NASDAQ right next to it to the left. So what do we do here? What's the point of this, right? Well, since they're similar funds, they typically have, QQQY and QDTE, they have 0 or 1 day to expiration trades that are done on the index. We like to compare the two to see how they do day to day. And then, of course, we want to see how the NASDAQ's doing to see, did they actually beat the index? And also we want to see, why would one beat the other? What did the index actually do that day? Did it jump high? Did it jump low? So that's the whole point of this. If you are interested in investing in either of these funds, or if you're invested in the, in the index, if you'd rather just invest in the index because it's a clear-cut winner, each week, sometimes it's not, obviously. But anyway, let's get to it. So I'll quit yip yapping. All right. So anything in blue, it's what we covered in previous weeks, so I do not forget. So we'll start with the Monday. And I know, again, the dates, keep in mind, I know it shows Saturday as the Monday date, but it's all good. So Monday, the index, the NASDAQ went up 0.71%. QQQY captured 0.58% of that. Again, this is just comparing the NAV. And then QDTE captured 0.52%. So both of them lost to the index. However, QQQY did beat QDTE. So they were the winner. The next day, Tuesday, the index went up 0.71%. Exactly. Like, what are the freaking odds of that? So QQQY captured a little less. They captured 0.49% that time. And QDTE captured even less, 0.26%. So QQQY for the win. Next day, the index kind of stayed flat. It did drop 0.08%. QQQY also dropped. They dropped 0.06%. But QDTE dropped 0.14%. So QQQY, 3 in a row. Look at that. All right, moving on to the Thursday. The index went back up. It went up 0.36%. This is on X date, but we do take out the drop of the distribution. We kind of ignore it. QQQY did go up 0.83%. QDTE did go up, but only 0.57%. Both beat the index. However, QQQY took the win over QDTE. 4 in a row. Now, last but not least, the Friday, the index did go up 0.17%. QQQY went up more, 0.42%. And QDTE only went up 0.16%. So honestly, I don't know what happened to QDTE this week. Maybe they fell asleep. Maybe the fund manager called out this week, or maybe they were just wasted all week making bad trades. Or maybe it just turned out the way the index moved this week that Defiance, turned out to be an overall better fund for the week. So it's a sweep. It's 5-0 QQQY. So good job, Defiance, on that one. All right, moving on to this is the S&P version of what we just did. So we compare the S&P to Defiance WDTE to Roundhill XDTE. So let's get to it. All right, Monday morning, or Monday after the close, of course. The index, the S&P went up 0.39%. WDTE went up 0.34%. XDTE went down, not down. It only went up 0.19% though. So WDTE for the win. However, neither one beat the index that day. Moving on to Tuesday, the index, the S&P went up 0.4%. WDTE went up 0.07%, so that wasn't not a great capture there. WDTE went down 0.11%, so that's interesting. I'm not sure how that happened, to be honest, but it did. All right, let's move on to the next day. The index, wow, that's not right. How the hell? Let me see. What is this formula doing? Unless it just rounds to... All right, yeah, so I guess, well, if I went out more decimals, the change would be over. All right, so the change wasn't even 0.01%, so it's essentially flat on the 20th. Either way, QQQY actually went down, which sucks. It went down 0.05%. I'm sorry, WDTE went down 0.05%. XDTE went down more, 0.08%. So WDTE, 3 in a row. So Defiance waking up here. And then we have ex-dividend date, the index, the S&P went up 0.53%. WDTE went up more, 0.65%, but XDTE went up even a little more by 0.7%. So XDTE, Roundhill finally got a win. Good job. All right, last but not least, we have the Friday. The S&P went up 0.35%. WDTE went up 0.44%, okay? And XDTE went up 0.4%. So both of them beat the index. However, WDTE for the win. And for the week, WDTE, 4 wins. 4 out of 5 wins. So, wow. That's Defiance, taking the win. 2-0 so far. Let's see if things can change here. All right, so what do we got? We got the Russell. Now we're going to look at the Russell versus Defiance IWMY versus Roundhill RDTE. All right, Monday, the Russell went up 0.11%. IWMY went up 0.5%. And then RDTE went up 0.23%. So IWMY for the win on that day. Tuesday, the Russell went up 0.8%. IWMY only went up 0.53%. And RDTE went down. That's unusual, 0.32%. So again, we got some weird days. Same thing happened on the other one. But let's keep going, though. The Russell went up here. Here's a good one, kind of flat, right? It only went up 0.03%. IWMY went up 0.37%. And RDTE only went up 0.07%. So that's an interesting day. 3-0 so far for IWMY. So obviously they're going to win the week. But here we go. Russell, here's a big jump. It went up 1.66%. So this is where typically Roundhill shines, right? Especially if this jump mostly happened after hours. So IWMY on that day only captured 0.65% because they have their limits. Roundhill captured 1.39%. So again, though that's a big gap rate. That's a big jump. Again, another big jump. The Russell went up 1.8%. IWMY, unfortunately, it did go up, but only went up 0.52%. The RDTE went up 1.51%. So those 2 days alone, domination. Although IWMY won the week, I'm pretty sure RDTE won the NAV. Because, again, if those jumps happen a lot, either after hours or pre-market, then RDTE, those funds, they can capture the upside because they close out their trades at the end of each day within the day. So they have a long position on the index, which can make money. There's no cap, right? So anything after hours, pre-market, etc., they're capturing that upside. At the open, they'll do the covered call, right? They'll sell the call. But until then, they're capturing the upside. That's when these funds do shine. But if there's no movement in the after hours, then guess what? Typically, Defiance will shine because they sell options most of the time, almost all the time, overnight. They do use that overnight volatility, that extra time value, because if you sell an option within the day versus across the day, you're going to get more premium across the day. However, you do have the risk of losing any potential on appreciation in the overnights. Anyway, if that makes sense. All right, let's continue. But Defiance took a sweep this week. Good job. All right, YMAX versus YMAG. Let's see. All right, Monday, YMAX went up 1.53%. YMAG went up 0.83%. YMAX is the winner, but both were winners that day, if you ask me. Oh my God, look at this. Tuesday, YMAX up 2.02%. Awesome. YMAG up 1.39%. Awesome. YMAX for the win, though. All right. Next day, YMAX down 0.16%. YMAG down 0.56%. YMAX 3 in a row. All right. X date, YMAX up 1.01%. YMAG, boo, down 0.66%. YMAX for the win. Last but not least, Friday, here we go. YMAX up 1.21%. YMAG down 0.26%. So YMAX for the win. Check this out, guys. Ex-dividend date. We know YMAX, Misty's helping a lot. SMCY helping a lot. But Misty took a dive on Thursday, 11/21, ex-dividend date. YMAX overall, though, went up 1.01%. So that's the power of this fund, right? So you got to love it, man. YMAX with a sweep showing that it's better than YMAG. I mean, it is this week at least. Is it overall? Who knows, right? Who knows? If you look at the NAV alone, right, we see YMAG closing at 1928, YMAX closing at 1835. So YMAG, supporting an overall better NAV since launch than YMAX, because they launched at the same time, but it's pretty damn close. And YMAX, I believe overall, they do pay a better distribution. So I think, to be honest, YMAX is inception to date winner over YMAG so far. Let me know what you think too. All right, it's time for the yield war. So who paid the highest yield this week? All right, who paid the highest yield? Well, guess what? IWMY again in the top three. 51% yield. Gotta love it, man. You can't get them out of the top three. They're just, they pay a lot. RDTE is in the top three. Congrats, RTDE. That's their first time in the top three since we've been tracking this. And YMAX in first place, 69% yield. Again, how do I calculate the yield? I take the payment, the latest payment, I multiply it by 52 weeks, and then I divide it by the declaration date ending price. So that's that. But look at that, man. Look at that YMAX yield, 69%. That may be the highest overall. Oh, no, YMAG had a 76% yield week. Oh, okay, wow. Anyway, let's move on to the NAV war. So who had the best NAV appreciation this week? YMAX takes the win on that as well. 5.61% appreciation. The Russell is number 2 with 4.4% appreciation. And in third place, RDTE. Well, we saw, again, the power of Roundhill and that capture, 2.88% appreciation. IWMY, they're right behind them. They did capture 2.56% because we said, IWMY won the week, but RDTE won overall. But it wasn't that far off, actually. It was actually closer than you would think. Now, if we looked, actually, I kind of skipped over. I kind of rushed through the yield war, but if we look at the, and I'll go back to that in a second. Let's look at the NAV war, though, for the NASDAQ. NASDAQ went up 1.86%. QQQY beat the NASDAQ. QQQY went up 2.26%. QDTE did not beat the index this week. They only went up 1.37%. So hopefully they'll have better luck next week. All right, if we look at the S&P 500, the S&P 500 went up 1.67%. Neither one, though, beat the S&P. So WDTE did better. They went up 1.45%. XDTE went up 1.1%. At least they're all positive, though. All right. Now, again, we look at the Russell. The Russell went up 4.4. Neither one could touch that. IWMY went up 2.56%, and RDTE went up 2.88%. However, the YMAX beat the Russell. It went up 5. I don't have it on here, but it went up 5.61%. It beat everyone. YMAG only went up 0.75%. So the yield war, I didn't really compare the twos, but QQQY did have a better yield than QDTE, 38% versus 30. WDTE had a better yield than XDTE, 31% versus 25. And IWMY, I mean, yeah, of course, again, Defiance funds are typically going to have a higher yield, much higher yield in some cases than the Roundhill funds. And YMAX, again, untouchable yield, massive yield. Gotta love it. 69%. YMAG, terrible yield, 16%. But you'll look, you see the 15% and the 16%. There's nothing you could do. That's the MSFO week, right? That's the week where they have one fund. Because again, Magnificent Seven. Seven's an odd number. They have, the 4 weeks, every 4 weeks. They have 2 funds in every week batch, except the one they have MSFO or, hanging out by themselves, which is not a strong paying fund. So that's why it's weak. All right, let's move on to the total return war. All right, so this is where Roundhill shines because overall, you see over time when the index has a big jump after hours, Roundhill does capture it, and it just shows. It shows. Now, total return, this is only since I've been tracking, which is as of October 4th, I'm showing the total return for QQQY is 1.71%. QDTE is 4.14%. The NASDAQ is 3.7%. So QDTE is the clear winner right here. Now, if we look at WDTE versus XDTE versus the S&P, the S&P went up 3.8%. Wow. XDTE almost beat them. They did capture 3.46%. And WDTE only captured 1.76%. So again, it's proven that Defiance is a better fund in a down or flat market, and Roundhill is a better fund in a bull market. All right, IWMY versus RDTE versus the Russell. The Russell domination, man, 8.76%. However, RDTE, not bad, 6.61%, and IWMY, 1.28%. So if you're looking at, do any of these beat the index? Yes, the answer is yes. QDTE did beat the NASDAQ overall since October 4th. The other two, no, the S&P and then the Russell did win. Now, if we compare the MAGs, this is not necessarily an index, it's an ETF that holds the Magnificent Seven. The MAGs went up 7.45%. So YMAG, no, they did not beat that. YMAG is the comparison to MAGs. It did capture 6.85% though. YMAX, although they're not we shouldn't compare them to the MAGs, but we can for fun. YMAX total return 11.91%. So if you look at the overall, YMAX is whooping everyone's ass. It's not even, the Russell's almost right behind them, but they're beating the Russell by over 3%. So you gotta love it. Good. YMAX is turning crap around, man. I love it. Because if you look, on 10-4, when I started this, YMAX, they were at 1760. They're at 1835 now. That's pretty damn good. All right, anyway, let's move on to the war, assets under management, where we track how many additional outstanding shares were added week to week. I also compare the net asset value. I made the mistake. I forgot to lock in the net asset value from the prior week. So this is as of a midweek number. But the key for this, at least to look at it for this week, would be the change in column J. All right, QQQY had a decrease of 50,000 outstanding shares. QDTE had an increase of 690,000. So yeah, it continues, right? Defiance, people are leaving. Roundhill, people are buying. WDTE, 200,000 decrease outstanding shares. XDTE, increase 480,000. So again, the proof, it's happening. Unfortunately, IWMY though, people stood still. They didn't leave. RDTE, people bought in 460,000 outstanding shares. So you can see, the decrease in the Defiance net asset value and the increase in the Roundhill fund. So overall, Roundhill still having a lot of success, still getting new customers based on their strategy. So if you ask me, my personal opinion, if you give a damn, I think Defiance has to do something different. I do. Or else they're going to get shellacked. They're going to get whooped here. And they, unfortunately, they're compared to Roundhill. Maybe they shouldn't be because it's a different strategy, right? They sell puts versus selling calls. But, I think it's not harmful to have both. But again, if you're asking someone to pick one or the other, people are probably going to pick Roundhill because they want positive NAV. They want safe NAV. You're more than likely going to, be at risk because the overall, they're limited on the capture on the high upside days. So anyway, I think Defiance needs to add some additional strategy to these funds. These funds are awesome. I love them. I do own them. I own all 8 of these, by the way. And I own all 8 of them equally in the amount of shares. So I don't have, a favorite one way or the other. I'm rooting for all of them because these are all doing different strategies that I can't do. So they are paying me every Friday. They pay me a paycheck, and that paycheck pays my bills. So I love all of them. I have no hate on any of them, and I root for all of them. However, this video is just about comparing them. Which one is better? Which one is worse? Which one is this? Which one is that? It's for you guys to decide. But anyway, let's move on. YMAX, they had an additional 450,000 outstanding shares, and YMAG, big jump, man. 1.65 mil. Woo! So yeah, man, they're a growing fund for sure. So if we compare the 3, Roundhill still in the lead, 903 million. They're about to hit a bill, all right? YieldMax number 2, 642 mil, and Defiance number 3, 383 mil. I mean, Defiance ain't going nowhere. They may have people slowly, sell out, but I think it'll plateau. But I think they should also, reconsider adding maybe something additional to their strategy. Maybe throw a long call in there. Maybe something. I don't know. We should talk to Sylvia about it and see what she thinks. But anyway, this is where we stand. YieldMax is only number 2 because again, there's only 2 funds that we have here, right? We don't have 3 to look at like these others, right? So anyway, that's should we have? No, we shouldn't have. Oh yeah, no, because if they had another one that was paying weekly, I would add it. I was just gonna say Ulti, but Ulti pays monthly. I'm not adding it, so don't get any ideas. Anyway, so that's where we stand at the assets under management. Last but not least, I did add this. It's not much information. It does say finals, but it just compares 2 things, the average yield and the total NAV. So if we look at overall, since I've been tracking this, the average yield overall, the winner goes to YMAX at 56% average yield. Number 2, right behind them, IWMY, 54% yield. So if you're looking at high yield only, YMAX and IWMY are the clear winners. Number 3 is YMAG, 45%. So, yeah, I mean, what can you say? All right, total NAV appreciation from, again, since we've been tracking this, YMAX, clear winner, 12%. YMAG, number 2, 7%. Number 3, RDTE at 6.9%. So, again, just a little bit more information. I know people asked me to add this, so I did add it. And I'm calling it the finals tab. But obviously, overall, you guys can see how things are going. I think overall, again, my opinion on these funds is I like all of them. I do like all of them. The main reason is they could do something that I can't. Do the strategies work in every type of market? No, they don't. But again, you hope overall in the long term, you're making total return. You're making positive total return. You're making money in different ways. Someone may do better than others on some days and some weeks, but overall, it's all about you making more money, more bang for your buck. So hopefully this video, it gives you an idea. If you're wondering what fund should you buy, hopefully this helps you out. If you're like me, you buy all of them, right? And you kind of root for all of them and you want them to make you money. Why did I buy all of them? Again, I have a fund. It's called the Dividend Car Fund. And basically it's set up to pay my wife's car payment, because we got a car. I was going to take out the money and pay it. But I'm like, you know what? Screw it. We got like an 8% interest rate. I'm like, you know what? Let's just take that money instead. Let's have it invested, and we'll use that money and we'll pay the car payment automatically. That way, when the car payment's gone, then we'll still have the money, and it'll be still earning us money. So right now, this is just I'm investing in all of them, and they're paying me income week in and week out. And that income not only pays the dividend car, it also pays now my Verizon bill, right? So you gotta love it. I'm adding bill after bill after bill. Eventually, this account, that I own these funds in, I also own MSTY. This account is gonna pay all my bills at some point. It's gonna happen. That's my goal. I don't know. Maybe I can get there, maybe not. Maybe I'm jumping ahead. Maybe I'm completely off topic, which I am, of course, and I apologize for that. But anyway, that's the update on dry, Defiance versus Roundhill versus YieldMax. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys enjoying this series? Am I missing something? Is it perfect? Is it just right? If it's just right, please let me know. I do like to know that as well. You don't have to just give me the negative stuff, right? But anyway, for real, if you enjoy this content, please hit the like button. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comments below. If you would like to help the channel out even further, there's a couple options. You can join the membership option. There's two options. There's ROD supporter, and then there's ROD Wolfpack. Go check them out. It's under the join button under the video. Or instead of that, if you want to just help it by word of mouth, feel free to share this video with friends and family who are looking for income funds. I think this is a perfect video for people who are looking for income funds. Obviously, if they want more detailed information on each and every fund, I do have that as well on the channel somewhere, so go check that out. Outside of that, you're helping by watching. You're helping what you're doing right now, so thank you very much. I do greatly appreciate it. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you guys had fun. Hopefully you're entertained. If not, I don't know. I'll try again next week. What can I say? I love this series. I do. I get excited when I get to look at the numbers. I mean, unfortunately, I do have to look ahead. I can't be like, I am kind of surprised with you guys, so I do try to keep it, I don't look as detailed as I can, but I do unfortunately have to look just to make sure it's updating properly. So it's not as much of a surprise when I'm looking at it with you guys when I'm recording the video, but I try to make it as much of a surprise as I can, because again, the reaction, it's better to be looking at it the first time with you guys, than me just like examining it. Like I'm not eyeballing this all week, although I want to, and I was thinking about a midweek update, but that's conversation for another day. But anyway, I'm yip yapping, so I'll end it here. Again, thank you guys for watching, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, or enjoy your week, depending on when you're watching this. All right, have a great day. Later.